My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, welcome to the 5th week of the Parents Webinar as we continue to reflect on effective parenting. And so this week, on this Sunday, I'd like to introduce Reverend Dr. Tom Thomas, who will be presenting for grades 5th to 8th grade. And today's topic will be, what if your yelling has damaged your child? And so very excited to hear the continuation of these effective parenting. And I pray that all the parents and all the CCD teachers who are attending may benefit from this and make good use of this and produce much good fruit in our parenting for our children. And for no further ado, I would like to begin with a prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Saint Thomas the Apostle, pray for us.
Thank you, Father Melvin, for introduction and the prayer. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this 5th session of parenting, effective parenting. Last week, after the presentation, I received several calls from parents expressing their concerns about what has happened in the past. Some of the parents told me, we should have learned these things before, maybe 25 years ago. We can't undo what is being done. Some of them said that, what if we have yelled at your kids and it has damaged our children? I thought it's a very important question. So I was trying to figure out what is that we can do if we have damaged our children by our yelling or any kind of treatment towards them, which was not very helpful. So today we are going to focus on this particular area. Not only that, but then that will be covered during the session. We had been reflecting all these days that parenting should promote growth of the children. That is the real parenting. Effective parenting should promote the growth of the children. Growth in every area of their life. Overall development of the child, spiritual, physical, intellectual, emotional. So they should experience growth as a result of our presence and our being and our doing. So that is parenting. Parenting is being and doing what promotes the growth of the child. Something that does not promote the growth of the child is not effective parenting. We learned in the 3rd session about the parenting styles. We have learned these things, the authoritarian parenting, where the parent is the authority, like a dictator, makes rules, regulations, and any failure to follow the rule will result in punishment. This child is not going to be a very happy child in the future, or happy individual in the future. Then we also saw the permissive parenting style, where the parent is permitting the child to just grow as he or she likes. You play as long as you want, but you also take care of your studies. That's not going to work with the child most of the time. Permissive parenting is not going to be effective parenting. It is not going to promote the growth of the child. And then we just also learned about the detached parenting style, where the parent is not involved emotionally in the life of the child. The parent might provide the basic necessities of life, but that is not enough for the child. There is no emotional attachment sometimes the parent also neglect the basic needs here in this detached parenting style. Then we saw authoritative parenting style, which we said is the effective parenting. Authoritative, where the father and mother, the dad and mom are on the same page and they sit together, also sit together with the children and they make rules for the family, and then there will be discussions, dialogue, a democratic style where there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of sharing, there's a lot of give and take. That's the experience of a healthy family. So promoting healthy family. No matter what kind of parenting style we adopt, sometimes what happens, we are not perfect people. We make mistakes in life. We can lose control of our emotions. Many parents feel guilty about what they have done to their children. Parent guilt is kind of common phenomena. But that is not going to help us. That guilt is not going to do much good in our life. So you know that yelling does not promote the child's growth, but you have yelled. That's the reality. Several times you have lost your temper, your control, and you have yelled. And we also just looked at why we do this, why we engage in this particular behavior, because of two reasons mainly, because of the frustration and because of the anger. When I am frustrated with certain situations or frustrated with the children, I just yell at them. When I am angry, also I yell at the children. So there are these two reasons mainly we have for yelling at children. And children are very good at pushing the button where we are in a kind of forced yell at them. So here, the source of frustration can be different. We said it can be children themselves. It can be, you tell your child, don't soil the floor, and when you come back, you'll see that everything is just the opposite of what you told them. You tell them, don't throw the socks on the floor, and you'll see that all the socks and the clothes will be all over. So naturally, you lose your temper, and you yell at them. Sometimes it is your perception of what is being done or what is happening around. So your son has a bad grade at school. Naturally, you have a lot of thinking going behind. I spend all this money for this child and he's not responsible for his life. Yeah, makes you angry. Well, what is he doing? All this time, he's wasting time. He's not responsible, so he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. So you have your own processing. Maybe this child has some other problem, some other issue, which we do not know. Maybe we need to enter into a dialogue and understand the child better. So, but then we conclude that this child is doing something wrong, and then we start yelling at the child. Or you found some stuff in the room of this child. Okay, there's some marijuana or some drugs. Definitely it's a serious concern, and you lose all your temper and your control there. Maybe you need to step back, take a deep breath, and address this issue in a much more positive way. But then sometimes you, instead of addressing it effectively, you yell and make noise and shout and hit. Does not help very often. Sometimes we said the problem is not with the child, but it's a problem with the spouse. And then you will displace this anger and frustration onto the child. You are also yelling at the child. Maybe you have frustration from your work, we said. I'm just giving a summary of what we did also. So from the work, we have a lot of frustration, and then that is causing me to yell at the child. So here, I turn to be a screaming monster sometimes, instead of being a good mother or a good father. So that's not going to help the child. So the consequences we saw, just the behavioral problems the child would face, the emotional regulation issues, because the child will not be able to control the emotion. It cannot contain itself, and then it will express emotions in an inappropriate way. Depression and anxiety is another sign, and problem with sound and language processing, which we saw last week. It affects the brain development, it affects the self-esteem, it also leads to drug abuse and risky sexual behavior, we said. Then it can have problems with the physical and emotional pain and issues, arthritis and joint pains. Also it affects our cognitive center and cognitive development, and it shuts down the cognitive center, and emotion center takes over, and the person becomes very impulsive. All those things we just saw. Along with that, another problem that will come because of the yelling is the distance between the child and the parent. There's a wedge in the relationship. It was going quite fine for some time. Now suddenly you find a wedge in your relationship with your child after this yelling. This child has distanced himself from you. Somehow this child has isolated now. He does not want to talk to you anymore. And one danger is that this isolation can continue to be there. I'm not going to scare you again. Some of you already said you got enough and you are scared hearing all these things. But then this is what can happen. This child can also become a loner. You have heard about loners? Loner is not the one who get loan from the bank. Loner is the one who isolates himself or herself in the room and does not want to talk to anybody. They are in a kind of their own world. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to go out for any, party or any friendship. They don't want to see anyone. They don't want to talk to you. They just close themselves in the room, and, they are in a world with their computer and their cell phone maybe. So that is a dangerous situation for a person, and sometimes people do that. Loners are usually the result of their lack of love. When they think that they have not experienced love, they are saying that when I needed love, you were not there for me, so now I don't need your love, I am fine without you and your love. So sometimes yelling can lead to this problem. Yelling also can lead to self-injury behavior, self-harm behaviors. I have met several people with the self-injury problem. As I was working in a psychiatric hospital for 9 years, I came across several people who had this problem, self-injury or self-harm. So what they do, I have asked them, why is that you do this? They say, I ask them, don't you feel the pain when you cut yourself? They say, the pain that we experience within ourselves is much more than the pain that we have on the body. So in order to distract this pain, the mental pain is so severe and serious. In order to distract from this pain, I cut and then look at that blood. So this can also another problem of yelling. So we don't want to yell at our children anymore. So now the disconnect is the thing that we want to address. The disconnect, how we are disconnected from our children after yelling, or how the children feel disconnected from us. We don't feel disconnected, but they feel disconnected from us. We probably with good intention want to correct them, but then they did not receive it that way. Their perception was very different. Why is mom yelling at me? She does not like me. Why is dad speaking this way to me? Yeah, he does not accept me. So that is a kind of conclusion they come to. And then they started slowly building up emotions which are not very healthy towards parents. Aggressive in nature. Their emotions are aggressive in nature, and they have bitter feeling towards their parents. And they sometimes speak out some words which you don't like to hear. Sometimes they don't speak on your face, but then they go to the room and speak the same thing there. Some of you have heard F words from your children and you felt so hurt and you became very sad and sometimes mad. Yeah, it does not really mean what you really understand. It is a kind of expression of their frustration at that time. It's not healthy, they should not do that, but then it is a frustration that they are expressing. I will tell you why they are frustrated and how your frustration is going to them. Towards the end, I hope to tell you that. So now, yelling does not help, so we have to manage this. Once again, I am telling, we have to manage this. We are, before we solve the problem, I once again want those of you who are in parenting role now, please stop yelling at your children. This is not going to help. I know this is so hard. It's easy for me to say from here because I am not raising children. You can say, Father, you don't really understand. I know that. But then I'm telling you, though it's hard, we have to really find some way to deal with our emotions other than yelling at children. We have to deal with them in an effective way. Suppose we have other sources of frustration. It's not only children causing the problem. We are tensed, we are stressed out, then we have to deal with these things more effectively. Go for therapy. We seek help. When we have anger issue, anger is a big problem, not only with children. Many people struggle with anger. Anger has three components. There's a thought, there's a feeling, and there's a behavior. There's a thought behind every anger. Last time I told you this. There's a thought behind every anger. When I am angry, I need to go back and see what am I thinking at this situation. What are my thoughts at this situation? So, there is a problem. My child is playing the video game after bedtime. So I have warned him after 10 o'clock, don't play video game, but then he is playing. And I find that out. Now, my thoughts, he has violated my rule and is going to affect his studies. I have so many thinking, then I am feeling so mad and angry, and I yell at him. Stop the game. Okay, so we have to intervene sometimes, what in a better way we can do. So some of the common behaviors when you're angry, you scream and yell at people. You use abusive language. You move towards the person, with a clenched fist. There's an urge to hit or spank the child. You put down the kids by sarcasm or criticize them for everything, or punch the table or the wall or throwing things. So now what we need to do, in order to avoid this, we have to find out what we can do. Avoid this in future. We need to identify the trigger. What is triggering my feeling of anger? What is triggering my anger? Identify the triggers. What is causing my anger? For that, I need to find out what time am I likely to be angry. Is it after the work? When I come back from the work, am I angry with my kids? Can I find a pattern of my anger? Something about the situation? Can I do something different about this? Or under the influence of alcohol, am I angry more towards my spouse or children when I'm under the influence of alcohol or drugs? Or when you have issues with the spouse, you are angry with your child. Or when you have some hormonal change, you know that you need to be careful. So is that time I am more angry? What can you do when you feel angry? This is called a stop technique, a stop measure of anger. This stop has got double P, S-T-O-P-P, stop method of dealing with anger. I'll very briefly explain this, then we'll go to the next. Stop means, first of all, we stop. When I am angry, just pause for a moment. Just walk away from that situation. My child is doing something, I don't like it, I just move away from that situation. I know that if I say something is going to be more than it is out of proportion. So I don't want to deal with it now. I don't have to correct it now itself. I need to have my composure before I can talk about this. So move away from that situation. Later you can invite and talk. So take a deep breath, just go out. Deep breath means it's not only breathing, you can go out into the garden and spend some time, or go for a walk, so come back. Take a deep breath, or you go for some games. Observe means examine your thinking, your thoughts. What are you thinking about? at this time. Pullback means you need to have a bigger picture. I'll explain what is pullback a little more further. Then practice what works. Practice what works for you and for the child or the other person. Now pullback, what is pulling back? You go up like a helicopter view. You go up in a helicopter and then you can see what is below there. Yeah. So now you can see what am I reacting to. Just look at things. What am I reacting to? What's the big thing there? What is pushing my button? Am I getting things out of proportion? How important this thing really is? How important this will be after 1 year, after 3 years? So am I taking things out of proportion? I need to just see that's a kind of helicopter view of the situation. When my child is doing something, instead of just reacting immediately, I need to just also process how important is this. Is it that bad that I should lose my temper and yell at this child at this time? Or is there another way I can deal with it? So our ability to just introspect, go deep into ourselves, what is causing this feeling in me? What harm has actually been done here? Or what harm it will do for the child if I don't intervene at this moment in this way? What is the best that could happen and what is the worst that can happen? Am I jumping into conclusion about what this person is doing? So these are some of the things that we need to consider. Am I misreading between the lines? What does my child want? What do I want from my child? Is there another way to deal with this? And what is the most effective way? So that is a way to deal with anger. It's not only with the child, it's every day we need this. Every day we come across a situation where we are losing temper with our spouse, with our co-workers, and with people outside there. So we can use this technique just to be in charge of your emotion. Instead of emotion controlling our behavior, let us control our emotions. So, summary of what we said is remain silent when you're angry, move away from that situation, move out and drink some cold water and relax yourself, take a deep breath and look at the circumstances, empathize with the person, and then you can forgive and move forward. Sometimes we need to correct, but then correction can be done positively. Now, we are going to again address the question, what if your yelling has already damaged your relationship with your child? So we learned some things to avoid this situation. We'll also learn some of the things, if we have time towards the end, what can be a better parenting. But then now let us address this question, what if I have really done damage to my child by my behavior, by my yelling? So sometimes what happens, you experience really difficult time with your children, teenagers and adult children sometimes. Very difficult time. You enter into not a conversation most of the time. You don't enter into a dialogue most of the time. Instead, you get into arguments. Children very often come across very strongly, and they say things which really hurt us. And we don't want them to speak that way, but then they react that way. They are expressing some frustration, some hurt at some point that they have experienced. And now this is so painful for us, so difficult for us. Now, first thing that we need to do is how to mend a broken relationship with your son or a daughter. This is what we are going to look at now. How can I mend this relationship? I have a difficult time with my child, my daughter, my son. How can I make this relationship better? It's not just one thing that you can be a remedy for this problem. There are several things there. How can I repair the damage in parent-child relationship? A damage is caused by my behavior or my yelling. Now, how can I repair this damage? Dr. Deborah McNamara speaks about some ways of repairing the broken relationship with the child. Parental overreaction can cause problems in relationship. So the parent has to recover from this hurt feeling and guilt feeling, and also we have to repair that, restore the relationship with the child. First of all, we need to understand one thing. If anybody is feeling guilty about what you have done, I would like you to know that none of us is perfect in this world. There is no perfect father, there is no perfect mother, there is no perfect child. None of us is perfect. And we don't expect to be perfect too. That's why Father Paul was speaking about good enough parenting. That's an important concept. So sometimes we would like to be the best, but then still we have imperfections within us. We need to accept ourselves as imperfect, fallible human beings who can fall, who can falter and make mistakes, but who can rise from there and learn from their mistakes. So here, human beings are not perfect, no matter how much we wish to be. We are not perfect people. We have failed controlling our emotions, and we have had immature reactions to our children despite our good intention. That's true. That is the reality. In other words, we make mistakes. If you can show me one person who has not made a mistake, then you can feel guilty about this. So you don't have to feel overly guilty about your failures, because there is no one who is perfect. There is no perfect parenting. There is no perfect father or mother, I said. We are fallible human beings, means we can fall, we can make mistake, but we can learn from our mistake. We can grow through our mistake. Our children make mistake, we make mistake. That's not the end of the world. Through the mistakes, we grow. One more thing, we learn through the mistakes. When you handle such a situation effectively, you're stronger now. There's an issue with your son. Dad is having an issue with the son. So there, what happens now is sometimes we lose hope. We are keeping away from the person. No, let us creatively address this problem. Once you have managed this issue effectively, you become a stronger person, and you can also build a relationship instead of going further away from each other. So we need to recover and repair the damage. Recover from the hurt that I have experienced and repair the damage I have done to the other person in the relationship. So guilt, shame, and alarm and defensiveness can flood the parent as they realize the impact of their actions. When we spoke about the consequences of yelling last week, some of you felt so bad and you felt guilty. I say, this is a natural thing that you can feel, but then that is not the end of the world, that's not the end of the story. Now question is how to recover and how can you repair this damage. We have some tips here to help us to learn to mend the broken relationship with your son or your daughter. Even if it seems impossible for you now, sometimes you have tried it several times, but it has not worked so far. Now what new things will work for me, you might wonder. So there are some steps in repairing the relationship. When you have overreacted or you have been too harsh to your child, there have been a number of things that you need to consider rebuilding and repairing the relationship now. First thing, you take the lead. When you have a problem with your child, you have your ego as a big block from entering into a dialogue with this child. I am the father or I am the mother. He should respect me or she should respect me. Definitely you deserve respect, but then you can earn that respect by respecting them. So you don't lose anything by taking the initiative, and you don't expect your child to be as matured as you are emotionally. So you are more mature person, you have more experience, you have more wisdom, so you take the first step towards rebuilding this relationship. So do not expect the child to come to you, rather you go to your child. Their reaction may be sometimes very frustrating at that time, but that's not again end of the world. If there is a distance, you be the first one to get there. And sometimes the negative thought is, why should I go? After all, she is my child. She has to come to me. Or I become small if I go and talk to her first. Even among the spouses this happens, right? When you have a problem, you don't talk to each other for a couple of days, then both want to speak, but then both are thinking, who will go first? Then it will go on for some time. There are people who don't talk for days and weeks, sometimes even more, you know that. So it's not the one who is entering into dialogue is small, no. The one who enters into dialogue is bigger. Mahatma Gandhi said one beautiful thing. He said, the weak cannot forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The weak cannot forgive. Only the strong can forgive. So you go first does not make you small, that makes you great and big. Second thing, acknowledge the rift. You need to acknowledge, address the issue. There's no point in covering up. Okay, everything is fine, let's go. That does not help. Something happened and you go and say, it's okay, everything is good, so let's go. Covering up does not. So acknowledge the rift. Let us address the issue. In a calm moment, let your child know what you have observed and how you feel about it. You take the courage to tell your child, my child, I have been noticing this, and I felt some difficulty in our relationship. And this is what it concerns me, and I want to do things better. So sometimes they agree, sometimes they disagree, they may be indifferent, they may be angry. No matter what, you are there. You are much bigger and greater than that child. So you need to keep your composure. So acknowledge the gift, that whatever their response, keep the focus on your own thoughts and feeling. It's not on their reaction now, not on their behavior in the past, but your focus is on your own thought and your feeling, and you are expressing it, and you are acknowledging that before your child. Like, I realize things have been a little tense between us. That makes me sad. I want to work on easing that tension. So, can I have that ability to say that? Is it a humbling experience? It may be a humbling experience, but it has got a educative value. You are teaching a child what to do when there is a difficulty in relationship. When you are able to tell your child this, when your child gets married and they have a problem, they will be able to do the same thing later. You are teaching, you are modeling a child to behave in a particular way. So if there is a virgin relationship, there is a possibility of rebuilding this relationship. It does not mean that something happened and that should be the end of your relationship. So here, you are going and telling this child, and then at the same time you are teaching the child something beautiful, a value in life. Acknowledging and admitting that you were wrong can be a good start. Don't justify. So here, acknowledge you never meant to hurt them. That is another thing that you need to communicate to them. You said something, they felt hurt, but then the intention was not hurting them. You need to explain the intention of, it's not justification of what you said. You need to say, I'm sorry for what you felt, but then my intention was not to hurt you. So be honest and let them know that you have made a mistake. Be sure that they understand you never intended to hurt their feelings. The third step is take responsibility for your mistakes. Albert Ellis would say, all the problems will end when you stop blaming and start taking responsibility. Albert Ellis is a psychiatrist, a big psychologist. So he says, stop blaming and start taking responsibility. Most of the time what happens when there is a problem, we have a tendency to put the blame out there. It is your problem, it is her problem, it is his problem. We fail to see our issue, our contribution to the problem there. So here, instead of focusing on the things out there, instead of blaming others, we stop the blame game and start taking responsibility for the situation. So when we regret what we have done, it is important to convey to the child, we are sorry. You can say clearly, I'm sorry, I yelled. I was frustrated and took it out on you. I was so frustrated, I was stressed and I was tired, I had a difficult time and suddenly I lost my control and I yelled at you. It was not nice. I'm sorry about that. It's okay to say sorry to our children too. Accept the responsibility of children. Stop blaming, and when you blame others, you give up your power to grow. Blaming is a game, blame game you say. That does not help. We don't grow. If you want to grow, take responsibility for your mistakes and address the issue. Be willing to listen to others and be open to creative corrections and criticisms. A fourth step in this process of rebuilding relationship with your children, and let the child be upset. That means when you address this issue, this child may not respond very positively because child is hurt so deeply. When you say, I'm sorry, you expect the child to say, okay, dad, okay, mom, it's okay. They may not come up with that answer. They might be very angry still, and they are mad sometimes. Let them be mad. Allow them to express their feeling. They have also the right to vent their emotions. Because they were hurt so deeply, they have to speak this out, and you can't just tell them, get it over and be okay. I remember once one lady told me, when her brother died, she was going through a very difficult time. And definitely she was going through depression, because it was an unexpected death. As she was going through this difficult time, her husband was supportive for a few days. Afterwards, she was very depressed, and she was going through this time. And then husband came and told her, get it over. And she started crying. Then he slapped her and said, get it over. Let's not go away like that. It ruined their relationship. It was very difficult for her. She's already hurt by this experience of the loss of her brother, and now husband, instead of being supportive and understanding, is even hurting her physically and emotionally and verbally abusing. So that's a horrible experience. So child also does not deserve that. So suppose the child is angry, we need to honor their feeling. We need to let them express their feeling. Allow the child to express their emotions. If they want to talk, let them talk. Too often our kids here, they have to calm down and just get it over when they are still upset. So they sometimes complain this. They have difficulty. They need time to heal. We have to allow that time and let them express. Suppose maybe they are angry, they are talking back, okay, let them talk at this time, because after that they will calm down and they will regret and they will be sorry. At that time they may not be able to. So if we are really sorry, then we will give some room for the child to express their feelings about what has transpired too. Next step is change your ways. We said take responsibility. Now we need to focus on ourselves and see, what is my role in this problem? When I yelled at my child, what was my condition, my mental condition? Have I been so busy that day? Was I impatient? Was I frustrated with some other things also? What is causing the problem? What was my problem? So I need to look into myself and I need to change my way. Now, also take courage to apologize. All these are leading to that. Very many times we have difficulty in saying sorry. Particularly to our children, how can I say sorry? We need to be courageous enough to apologize. Are you feeling resistance doing this? If you are feeling resistance to say sorry, you can just begin with saying sorry for how they felt or how it made them feel. You may not be able to say sorry for what you did or what you said, but you can still say sorry for how it made them feel. That is not difficult because you are not judging your behavior. You are just saying how that word or your gesture affected that person, and I'm sorry for that. If you felt that way, I'm sorry. It's the emotion. So apologize and work on making the right with the child. Keep it simple and avoid adding, when you say sorry, I'm sorry this happened, but you also have to change. Please don't do that at that time. Correcting is not that time. Now we are focusing on the relationship. We need to rebuild the relationship. At this time, suppose you say, then you also have to change. You did, that's why I did. Then it might escalate into a conflict. So instead of helping, that might do further damage. You had a good intention to rebuild the relationship. You started nicely. You said, I sense something not okay between us and I would like to make it better and I am sorry about this one. But you also have to change. At that moment, you will lose everything. The other person is already, not that good. It's not feeling very good at this time. When you start correcting at this time, it's not going to work. Now let us work on the relationship afterwards. Once the relationship is built, then whatever you say will be accepted. That's the thing I would like to say at the end. I don't know if we will reach there. But all the same, if you have good parent-child relationship, then all the other things will work well. When we have not built that bonding, that is a problem most often expressed in this virgin relationship. So, when you apologize, you are also modeling this behavior I said. So, it is a modeling behavior and is model what mature behavior looks like. A matured person behaves like this. When there is a problem, this is how you can handle. Apology doubles your credibility. Don't think that you are loser there. Sometimes we have a wrong notion that when I apologize to somebody, I am the loser. I have lost. No, you are not the loser. You are the winner when you can apologize. When you can forgive and when you can apologize, you are the loser. You are the winner. You are not the loser. So, and you don't lose authority or credibility by admitting your mistakes. Actually, doubles your authority and credibility before your child. So when you admit your mistakes before your child, don't think that you lost your credibility before the child. You have won that person. Your child understands that my dad is a real, genuine human being. And I can also be a true person. I can be true to myself as my dad is true to himself and true to me. I just say this ATA model. ATA simply I just put an acronym. Acknowledge the wrong, take responsibility, apologize. 3 things, ATA. At least remember these 3 things. When you build up your relationship with your child, remember this ATA model. Acknowledge the wrong, take responsibility, and apologize for the behavior. And kids learn by who we are. We often say that kids learn by example, example. What we are doing, what we are saying, what we are doing, and what we are is very important. So, Ken Van Meter says, kids learn a little bit by what we say, a little more by what we do, but they learn the most by who we are. They learn the most by who we are. What are we? That is what is most important. Who you are is the most important. That's what kids learn. Let your child know you never intended to hurt his feeling, and you apologize, and you become a hero in front of that child in the long run. You may think that you are losing your credibility before the child. No, that child will appreciate you in the long run. There is something called alpha parent. Have you heard about alpha parent? It's something beautiful to know. You know alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is the first letter in the Greek alphabet, just like A is the first letter in English. Alpha. Alpha, beta, gamma, Greek. So alpha means alpha means to go first, to take the lead. The alpha personality is the one who takes the lead. I want to do things. There's energy, there's enthusiasm, there's commitment. Someone who can lead. We have leaders in our community. We have the catechism teachers. Some leaders are here. We have the live streaming. We have some people who are committed. That's why all these things are possible. So we have people who are committed, who are willing to lead. So alpha people, also we need alpha parents. An alpha parent is the one who takes the lead and who models the behavior that they would like their child to reflect. They are the example for the children. They model that behavior for the child, and the child learns. And it has got a wonderful theory. Your child reflects you. You are a reflection of your father or your mother. Without your knowledge, you have become that. Some of you may not like to hear that. If you have a problem with your dad, you don't like to hear that. But then, this is part of the reality. So, your child reflects you. This is a fascinating bit of neuroscience. It will help you to appreciate just how much of you your child reflects. Italian neuropsychologist Giacomo Rossolati and his colleagues at the University of Parma were the first to identify the mirror neuron in human brain. Mirror neuron. There's something called a mirror neuron in human brain. So what is this mirror neuron does? These special neurons fire in our brains when we observe another person's behavior, as if we were engaging in the same behavior. When I observe somebody else's behavior, there is something transpiring within me that makes me feel that I am doing that same behavior. For example, when you watch a horror movie, you experience that feeling. Or when you are watching an action movie, you can see, you can't sit near to the people when they watch action movie. Some people, they will hit you, action movie. So same thing, they are just so much involved and they think that they are doing this. And there are many other things. There is virtual sex and things like that, which is a manipulation of all these things. So all those things are there. So you just feel like you are doing what the other person is doing there. So there is something called co-regulation. Co-regulation. What is this co-regulation, When your child observes your behavior, their brain activity literally mirrors your brain activity. You need to learn this, you need to remember this, you need to hear this, my dear friends. So when your child observes your behavior, their brain activity literally mirrors your brain activity, which is how they develop the same habits over time. This is how we become our father. This is how your child becomes you. So, our brain is working together. That's why I said, when you yell at your child, you make them yellers. They are learning that behavior. Their brain is working. It's not because they want to learn that behavior. Their brain is automatically, subconsciously working there. So that's how it happens. So this is called co-regulation. Co-regulation. So this brain function is what allows us to interpret the intentions, actions, and emotions of other people. Okay? So it has a positive effect. When it has a positive effect, co-regulation with an emotionally regulated adult who has functional and healthy habits is one of the biggest keys in helping the child to develop the ability to regulate their own emotions and habits. If you have a role model at home, child will really grow. That's why the parent has to be that person whom the child can look up to. That's why I said your being is more important. Who you are is most important in parenting. Before self-regulation comes, co-regulation less. So let's connect instead of punish. We need to connect with our children. We need to really make a relationship with our children. We need to have a rapport with our children. We need to make them feel that we are theirs and they belong to us and we belong to them. This connection will help us to overcome many problems. We need to really do things together. We need to find time for our children, especially when they're young. Even later, even after all these things happen, you can go. If you can let go of your ego, and if you can go beyond, you can still rebuild the relationship. Our life is not a competition. It's a cooperation and collaboration. So when you think of this as a competition, then nothing can work. But life is much more than that. So here, we don't have time to waste in competition. I don't have a single minute to waste in competition with my child. I need to really work hard. I don't know how long I'll have this child with me. He's not going to be there forever with me, staying at home. Once, they'll move out, and then occasionally you will meet. So make use of the time when you are together. So here, 3 types of parents. So I just spoke about alpha parent. Just to speak a little more about alpha parent, I am just speaking 3, just briefly I speak about this. Alpha, controlling alpha, and beta. What are they? Understanding these can help us to become a better parent. That's why I'm just trying to do this. Alpha parent means, alpha parent is the pillar of strength. A person with integrity, a person who is confident in himself, a person self-regulated, person who is full of positive energy. That's an alpha parent. Outcome independent. No matter what happens, they keep their cool. Does not mean that's uninvolved parenting, okay? Don't mistake for that uninvolved parenting. No. They are cool. Even if situation is not the best, they can still function quite well because they are so composed. They have such a serenity. They have such a peace within themselves. That's an alpha parent. So at ease no matter what's happening around them. Alpha parent acknowledges their child's emotions. Okay, child is having anger issues, okay, but they are not going to reciprocate to that emotion that way. So the alpha parent also creates a safe space for them to be vulnerable. Okay, let them express their emotion. They can cry, they can be angry, okay, express their emotions. And also communicates without judgment. Alpha parent communicates without judgment. Alpha parent also leads by example. That's what we need. Lead by example. Confident in the fact that their child will inevitably follow their lead. So what we need to mend this broken relationship by being a person who is confident in yourself. When you have confidence in yourself, you don't have any fear to go to your child and say, "Oh, child, I'm sorry about this." You're not going to lose anything there because you know yourself. You know your strength. Once you are confident of your strength, you are not threatened by anybody's presence there. So children of alpha parent will learn to be a child who is positive. Correlate with the parent's mood. The parent has got, I said, it's a composed, peaceful mind, and they also develop their habits. These children will, I said this neuroscience thing they were mirroring. So the child is also copying what the parent is showing there. Even when the child of an alpha parent is distressed, the alpha parent's calm demeanor and confidence in their child's help will help the child to calm down and cope with situation. So situation is not the ideal now, but this parent is very calm. Looking at the parent, this child say, oh, he can deal with this situation this way also, as a new learning for the child. So the child also becomes an alpha parent in future if he is learning from that. Controlling alpha parent, we don't have time for this one. Controlling alpha parent is alpha, is a confident, but as long as everything goes according to his plan, he is very good. Once it is out of that, then he loses his control. That is controlling alpha parent. Then beta parent is very negative. It's not very helpful, very anxious and lacking in confidence. He is so insecure within himself, and he goes and he yells at the children. Sometimes he begs with them. Sometimes there's such a flexibility, fluctuation in their dealing. No stability. There's no, because they are not confident in themselves. So what we need to do, my friends, we need to become these alpha parents, what alpha parents do, okay? Create your own. I'm not telling that you are either alpha parent or beta parent or controlling alpha parent. You can become what you want to be. That's what. You take the best and become what you want to be. You tell yourself what you want to be, and you train yourself to be what you want to be, and you can become the best parent. So we need to stay calm in hectic and emotional situation. If you can do that, you are an alpha parent. Think flexibly and go with the flow. Create a safe space for the child and express a feeling. Encourage the child to express themselves through open-ended questions. Understand that mistakes are inevitable part of good learning experiences. So what the alpha parents do not do is they don't lecture or nag the child. They don't react with the frustration to child's emotions. They don't argue with their child or with the co-parent in front of the child, or hit or shame the child or verbally abuse the child. Okay? There are many more things that we need to discuss about parenting, effective parenting. So thank you very much for being there. Thank you for all the participants, and thank you for all those who viewed the last week's session. Thank you for the encouragement that you're giving, and God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Thank you for Tom for a wonderful presentation, and thank you for all the participants. I know it is our responsibility now communicate our message, not our emotions to our children. And also I thank for Tom and Shani for their wonderful help, and all other CCD administrative members. Thank you everyone. We'll continue the same topic next Sunday, same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Be like a sunset. No matter what others say, no matter how the things are, keep on doing what you are supposed to be doing. Be like a sunset. God bless you.